Susan is forced to confront the quiet ache within and choose between the life she's built and the woman she used to be. The Fire Beneath, by Tales in Mind of King Matty.
Susan Mokoena lived in a sun-washed suburb just outside Johannesburg. Her mornings began with warm porridge, school uniforms, and the careful layering of love into lunchboxes. Her husband, Sam, kissed her on the cheek every morning, never missing a beat. Every Friday night, they shared a bottle of red wine over soft music while the children slept. To the world, she had everything. And in many ways, she did. But something inside her had begun to shift. A restlessness, a whisper of a former self, a version she thought she had buried for good. It started on a rainy Tuesday. The kids were at school. Sam was at work. Susan was organizing old boxes in the attic. Among the baby clothes and dusty photo albums, she found it. A leather-bound notebook, scuffed at the corners, but unmistakably hers. Inside her own handwriting, a journal from nearly 15 years ago, filled with breathless memories of Matt the Biso. Matt was the kind of man who burned too hot to hold, a rising film star with a laugh that could fill a stadium and eyes that made her feel like the only woman on earth. With him, everything was louder, faster, brighter. They made love in places they shouldn't have, argued like fire and water, lived like there was no tomorrow. But tomorrow came, and with it, the end. Reading the entries, Susan felt a strange duality. Shame for how deeply she still felt it, and a guilty thrill at the memories. She began to write again. March 14th, the day he took me to Cape Town for the weekend. We didn't even pack. We just drove. I wore his jacket and no makeup. I laughed until my ribs hurt. God, I miss that girl. The one who laughed like that, who kissed like she was starving. The more she wrote, the more the memories returned. The smell of his cologne. The way he whispered in Setswana to make her blush. The way he made her feel seen. The way he held her, grabbed her tightly from behind, massaged her softly, and kissed all of her. Sam noticed something had changed. One evening, folding laundry, he asked, "You've been quieter lately, you okay?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Just tired. But it wasn't just fatigue. It was a question. Had she chosen peace at the cost of passion? Did being a good wife mean letting go of the woman she used to be? Then, as if summoned by her thoughts, Matt appeared on television, an interview. Older, yes, but still possessing that impossible charm. He was returning to South Africa, filming nearby. That night, she wrote, I saw him, not in person, but there he was smiling at the interviewer like he used to smile at me. What if he remembered? What if he didn't? What if seeing him again wakes something I can't put back to sleep? Days passed. The journal became her confession, her therapy, her rebellion. Then came the invitation, a charity gala. Sam couldn't attend work. Ayanda, her friend, had a spare ticket. Matt would be there. Susan stood in front of the mirror, wrapped in a deep green dress that clung to her body like memory. For a moment, she didn't feel like a mother or a wife. She felt like Susan again, the woman who danced barefoot in fountains, who kissed strangers in the moonlight. At the gala, their eyes met. He walked toward her slowly. "Susan," he said. Her name in his voice still had power. "Matt," she whispered. They talked about films, about life, about nothing and everything. Then he asked, "Are you happy?" And he said, "I still love you. I never stopped." She didn't answer. That night, when she returned, Sam was already asleep. The house smelled like laundry detergent and chamomile. She didn't cheat. She didn't stay long enough to let the past devour her present. But she realized something. Matt didn't just remind her of love. He reminded her of herself, a version she missed. Not because she still loved him, or so she tried to believe, but because she once loved herself in a different way. In the weeks that followed, Susan stopped journaling about Matt. She began writing poetry about rediscovery, about women who outgrow their wildness not because they have to, but because they forget how to carry it gently. But the ache grew. One evening, while Susan made tea, Sam sat at her laptop. He meant to check the bank statement, but a document was still open. Its title, "The Fire Beneath." He read it. Cape Town, the scent of Matt, the hunger in Susan's past self. He closed the laptop. The next morning, he asked, "Is that how you really feel about him?" Susan froze. "I don't want him," she whispered, "but I wanted to feel like her again." Sam tried. He booked a surprise weekend getaway. He bought cologne that smelled like Matt's, learned Setswana phrases, took her to a rooftop and kissed her under the stars. He tried to become a man he never was for her. But no matter what he did, Susan's eyes kept wandering inward, chasing a version of herself that didn't belong in this life anymore. And slowly, Sam broke. "I miss us, Susan," he said, "but you're chasing ghosts. I can't fight your memories." They tried counseling. They tried laughter. But something had cracked, and it wouldn't reseal. In the end, love wasn't enough. Susan lost her marriage. Not in scandal, not in a storm, but in the slow erosion of a life where 80% had been enough, until the missing 20% consumed them both. Alone now, in a small apartment, Susan kept the journal in a drawer. She no longer read it. She no longer wrote in it. Now, she writes poems about quiet ruin, about men who tried too hard, about women who mistook longing for truth. She loved Sam, but she loved the idea of herself more. And in choosing the fire beneath, she let the warmth slip through her hands.